Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
The thing that is most misunderstood about sports radio is its function. It's not that you're supposed to look. There are shifts, there are day parts where if you want to get into the minutia, if you want to talk about cycling and what they do on special teams and all the other things that go into it, all the details that go into being an NHL team, there are shifts for that. There are hours of that. That's not what a morning show does. That's what a morning show isn't supposed to. I'm supposed to call someone or bring the coach on who will explain those moves. I bring the general manager on. I can bring on one of the players. This is what hosting a morning show does. I'm hard-pressed to think that going to work for a job that you hate, for a boss who sucks, for you getting yelled at every day and maybe not getting the money that's worth it to you. Maybe you have a hard day where you're outside every day. Hey, there's a lot of people in Western Canada that listen to that show that weren't just from Calgary. They were also from Saskatchewan. And then, these guys would be out working the fields and so on. They wanted to get some laughs in with a little bit of the sports. So what you want to do is be an entertaining guy, and hopefully you have the chops to actually do that. And then on the other side, you call someone who can explain all those things better than I can, better than any probably morning guy can, because there's a reason why they're a morning guy, because they were probably, for the most part, in broadcast and maybe not a great athlete. Look, my background is weird. It's different. I played at a very high level of sports, but I also started doing stand-up when I was in grade 12. Freak and weird. I was a goalie and a drummer. All the weird stuff that goes into this brain where I hear the voices. I'm sitting there looking at a football game. All of a sudden, I hear Peyton Manning going, what he should have done. What he should have done was you got to pull that back. You got to make them read into when you're going to play action pass. You don't just run with it, dummy. That's not RPO. This is what goes on in this head. This is what I have going on.
I get it.
All kinds of stuff is going on there.
I don't even think it's weird.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
He's laughing at the fact I said I still get nervous every time I interview Connor Bedard. I do. I don't care. Who knows? He's 16. I'm 49. I've done thousands of interviews. The kid's eyes just pierce right through you. Oh, boy, I love watching him. It's the biggest reason why this jersey's up here.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, Canada and Canadian sports fans around the world. Welcome to the RP Show. Your favorite daytime sports talk show is on air. On the air? We are the air. And hello, Rhino Radio in Noonan, Georgia, Metro Atlanta, checking in on WQEE Radio. We are live for a fourth consecutive week at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino in Calgary. It is Calgary's entertainment destination, and we got a lot of people checking in this morning, and they're all excited, ready to talk sports, but none more so than the affable co-host and president of DuPont Media, Darren Moose DuPont, who joins us from the NHL's Bermuda capital. And Moose, how are you, my man? Happy Monday. Nice to see you.
Yeah, happy Monday. Yeah, I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I want to jump right into it. Again, everybody writing in that's watching on YouTube, the 902 text line, I'll get to your messages. I can't right now because we have things to do. We're going to talk sports over the next 2 hours here. Did I mention that we're on Game Plus television as well across all 10 provinces and 31 U.S. states? In Alberta and B.C., it's Channel 924 on TELUS. Hey, listen, I really toned it down on the weekend, Moose, and you know a lot of this. I needed to just decompress and unplug a little bit. But then Sunday night it got wild because I was here setting up on the stage here at the Stage Bar, getting my gear all ready to go, and I had some people from the Country Music Association say, hey, why don't you come over next door to the Grey Eagle Event Center? Just join us for the big party over there. It was the Alberta Country Music Association Awards, and I'm like, hey, I'm just not really the party guy anymore. And they said, hey, you don't need to party. Just come hang out and have fun. Well, dang it, that's what I thought that sounded good. So I got some photos here of what went down. It was just on the other side of this wall right here. Clark, there you go. This was Foxworthy, Nicole and Crystal. I've known them 20 years, Darren. Very popular country music duo. As they say, I knew the bride when she used to rock and roll. I think they still rock and roll. I think they still rock and roll. I don't, but they were some of the ones that said, come on over. Crystal sang the national anthem for the Pats for years. This is a lovely young gal. Breton Rose, and she was up for an award last night. This was the red carpet gala ahead of the event, and there was one more, my good guy, Gord Bamford. I nicknamed him Grumpy Gord because he had his cowboy hat stolen one night when we were in Mexico together. That's a true story, but a story for another time. So these are all the country music stars, and I was with them yesterday, and then I beetled out of there over to the Flames game, and from there yeah. So it was a fantastic weekend. It was very quiet for most of it, and then it got wild, and then here we are on Monday. So, yeah, thank you, Alberta Country Music Association, for hosting me because I had a lot of fun. Can we hit the Quick Six show horn, please, Director? And again, everybody's writing in with their comments on a wonderful sports weekend. That's awesome. You keep writing them in, but this is me and Moose's time, and we'll get to yours later. We're starting... coming out of a wild sports weekend with the NHL, the Sunday NHL leftovers, the LA Kings in a three-way battle with the Vegas Golden Knights and Edmonton Oilers to finish first in the Pacific Division helped their cause Sunday night by beating the Vancouver Canucks 4-1. Brock Besser had the lone Canucks goal for the Canucks, who've lost 3 in a row. Here in Calgary, Michael Stone scored at 17:22 of the third period to snap a 4-4 tie, and the Calgary Flames registered an important 5-4 win over the visiting Anaheim Ducks. That was the Flames' fourth straight win. They've won 5 of 6 since being humiliated in LA 8-2 back on March 20th, Darren. So that kept them in pace with Winnipeg 2 points back for the final playoff spot because the Jets blew out New Jersey 6-1. Nikolai Ehlers scored twice, and Morgan Barron converted a penalty shot. Pierre-Luc Dubois had a goal and a helper. Kyle Connor and Nino Niederreiter also scored for the Jets. Connor Hellebuck stopped 31 shots in his 60th start of the season. And the game that I wasn't spending much time, I was following all these games, but I couldn't. My timeline, Sportsnet, TSN, all I saw was the highlights of the Leafs and the Wings. I didn't see a second of it, but everybody's blowing up my phone about it. Dylan Larkin scored 3 times for his second career hat trick. Alex Nedeljkovic, the Wings goalie, made 42 saves in Detroit down to Toronto. What was it? Was it 5-2? Oli Mata had a goal and an assist, and Jonathan Berggren also scored for Detroit. Kelly Yarncroc and John Tavares scored for the Leafs, which lost goalie Matt Murray to an injury late in the first period. He allowed 2 goals on 7 shots before being replaced by Ilya Samsonov. So that's what came out of just Sunday. Saturday was wild, too. We're not any further ahead. And I'll just say this before I ask your thoughts on the Leafs game and why there was so much controversy coming out of that game. My guy, Jeff Pedersen, whom I know you talked to the other day, the hotel magnate, he texted me the other day and he said, congrats, your Panthers are in a playoff spot. And I'm like, yeah, for an hour. As of today, they're not. And I love Jeff and all these people that get all excited, but I'm like, the next day you might not be. And again, this is why racehorses have blinders. Run your own race. You cannot worry about what the other teams are doing, man. You can't. But this just feels like one of the wildest finishes, Moose, that we've had maybe ever in the NHL regular season.
In both conferences, it is wild. And in the East, Rod, I am torn because we have this new Florida connection and a Panthers connection, and I want them to get in and have success. Because, you know, I want there to be a chance that maybe I could come and visit in May and we could watch some playoff hockey on a run, and that would be great. But I'm also a fan of nostalgia, and I really don't want the Penguins to miss the playoffs. I love, you know, the Crosby, Malkin, Letang group. You know, if I had my choice, it would probably be Pittsburgh and Florida that would grab the last 2 spots, and the Islanders would fall out. But I like Matthew Barzal. So, Rod, I am, like, full of angst when it comes to these playoff races.
I'm glad that people are entertained. By the way, in the pre-show, Mike Richards made a good point about, hey, anybody can sit and talk about sports and scores, but it's the stories behind the stories that make people have what they remember. Kevin the Medium has written in and says, I spewed coffee out my nose, Rod. I decided to take the weekend off, so Saturday for 2 hours I didn't do anything. I blame my dad for that. I blame and thank my dad for that, because he used to come into the farmhouse if I was curled up on the couch under a blanket watching TV. He would rip it off me as a teen and say, there's always something to do. And on the farm, there was. So even now, you know what I mean? I'm like, there's always something to do. And I, again, blame my dad for that. Everybody's getting ahead of themselves to the Flames and Jets game on Wednesday. Can you just hold on to your bingo cards? We're still trying to recap the weekend, for the love of God. And I get that they're looking ahead to the Jets and Flames on Wednesday, but we're not today. Director Jordan writes in regarding that photo of Gord Bamford. And he says, I'm going to tell my kids that's producer Clark.
How about that?
Jordan has kids. Jordan has kids.
Hot damn.
Some night I'll tell you the time Gord Bamford and I were in Mexico together. I have photos of it. This is not an exaggeration. And somebody stole his cowboy hat. And it's like, what? Which, ironically, I don't even think he took it off in the pool in Mexico. So I'm like, how do you lose your hat, Gord? But then he was grumpy for the rest of the week, because where do you get a quality cowboy hat in Mexico? He was grumpy Gord for the rest of the week. Anyways, moving on to, hey, this is bell-worthy, this is gong-worthy. We have a brand new sponsor, Key Auto Group. They have the largest selection of quality and new and pre-owned vehicles in the Parkland area. Cars, trucks, SUVs. Your journey begins at keyautogroup.ca, and they are going to be the sponsors of our daily poll from now to the end of time. Key Auto Group. Write it down. The largest selection of quality new and pre-owned vehicles in the Parkland area. Cars, trucks, SUVs, your journey begins at keyautogroup.ca. Check them out now. Today's poll question is this. We learned, was it late last week or over the weekend, Moose, that the Tampa Bay Lightning and Toronto Maple Leafs, it's a cinch, it's a clinch. They're going to meet in round one of the playoffs for a second consecutive year. I guess it was Saturday that we learned that. The poll question today is, who wins round one? The Leafs or the Lightning? I voted for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I feel like it's their time. I feel like stirring it up a little bit. I don't really care who wins between the two. So if that's the case, let's have the Leafs win. Your thoughts?
I need a minute. I need a minute. You voted for the Leafs.
Why?
I mean, no, you just shocked me. I didn't think you were going to go that way, because I thought I would shock people, because I'm picking the Lightning to win the series. Based on everything, history, experience. The horses have been there. They know how to win in the playoffs. And I'm doing that a little bit as a catch-22. Like, I'm doing that a little bit that, you know what, if the Leafs lose, at least I was right. And then if the Leafs win, I'm okay being wrong, because they deserve to get to a second round finally. But until the Leafs can prove otherwise, there's no reason to pick them in a playoff round until they can prove that they've won one. So I got to go with Tampa Bay.
You've got 22 hours to vote now for Key Auto Group, and we're just so pleased as punch to have them on board, the sponsors of our daily poll and this fine program, which we are very big in that East Central Saskatchewan, West Central Manitoba area where all their dealerships are. By the way, I didn't mention Colin Paterson's coming up here for an hour on the program today, Stanley Cup champion with the Calgary Flames, a very popular guy. Everybody loves Patty. Colin Paterson is going to be here, and Kate Pedersen. Everybody loves Kate, of the Nashville Predators. What do we call them? She's the host of Nashville Predators games. How about that? Kate Pedersen. But she's been with the Oilers and the Leafs, and just a great gal. The daughter of Kate Pedersen, for our older viewers that are watching, the daughter of Leaf Pedersen, the CFL great broadcaster and player. Moving on to the Blue Jays, by the way, point two, Nolan Gorman had a pair of two-run homers to help the St. Louis Cardinals to a 9-4 win over the Toronto Blue Jays on Sunday. Brendan Donovan and Alec Burleson added solo shots in the first inning off Blue Jays starter Chris Bassett. Bassett gave up 9 runs on 10 hits over 3 1/3 innings. And do I need to remind everybody, Bassett was making his debut for Toronto after signing a 3-year, $63 million deal in the offseason. Listen, I waited all day for the game, which felt like a long time because the game it started at 12:15 Mountain. That's not a long time, basically noon. First pitch, boop, into the seats. Second pitch, boop, into the seats. I'm like, what is happening right now? And they went up, 5-1, 9-3. And I think you were saying late last week that in these Major League Baseball games, it looks like so far this season through spring training and for the opening weekend, no lead is safe or don't turn your back. But it was highly disappointing. And it was statistically the worst debut ever for a Toronto Blue Jays player. No pitcher's ever given up 4 home runs in his Blue Jays debut. So I actually felt sorry for the guy. I got to think it only gets better after this.
Oh, it has to. And, we were sitting around that day and, thinking about watching the game, and I was doing something else, and all of a sudden I'm getting notifications from the Score app that the Jays are already behind. I'm like, what's going on? And so I tuned in for a minute, but it was tough. After the great opening day, when the Jays had that comeback victory and it was back and forth, there was not a lot of drama over the final 2 games. I mean, it took them, in the middle of that 3-game set, it took them until the 7th or 8th inning before they got their first hit. And still stranded base runners on and couldn't get more than one across the plate. So the Jays really struggled outside of opening day this weekend.
They are at Kansas City tonight. The Atlanta Braves, by the way, second in the division. I looked. They're at St. Louis tonight, so we'll see what the Braves can do. But I saw one somewhere, some poll. Are you worried? The Blue Jays lost their opening series of the regular season. I'm like, if you're worried, you're an idiot. By the way, SJHL fans, get your tickets now for the SJHL raffle for your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side. Tickets are available now at sjhlraffle.ca and are on sale until April 23rd. All proceeds from the raffle support the SJHL and its member teams. Listen, I see everybody writing in. I might jump ahead. I'm going to jump ahead because we only have 2 minutes left in this segment, but everybody's talking about the dub playoffs. It was my 4th point, but I'll do it here because that's what they came. A lot of people came here today. Connor Bedard continues to impress in the Western Hockey League. The Regina Pats star, who will go #1 in this summer's NHL entry draft, scored 3 times, added 2 assists as the Pats beat the Blades 6-5 Sunday in Game 2 of their first-round series in Saskatoon. Now it's shifting back to Regina for Games 3 and 4, and the Pats are up 2-0. And we're going to go through all the series. Listen, I hear it a lot here in Calgary. People say, I watch your show primarily for the junior coverage because nobody else is talking about it. I get it. I would suggest you go and read my commentary right now at rodpeterson.com or listen on Sask Radio. Get out of here with your, thought the Pats should have traded Bedard. Yeah, they still should have, okay?
How about that?
We all know what kind of player he is. We all know that with Connor Bedard in the lineup, they're capable of great things. They're not going to win a league championship, and as I said, I'll look you up next year in the Brand Center if I can find you, but let's not talk about that now. He's doing great things. Why you got to rub it in people's faces? The hockey people know they still should have traded him. But listen, they're making a lot of money, and this is where we worry that the Pats are becoming like the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Dallas Cowboys. It's about making money and not winning. That's a thing. But I'm the Pats guy, so I'm really happy with where they are in this series. You have about 45 seconds, not even 30 seconds, your take, Moose, on your Blades being down 0-2.
Yeah, it's wild. This is going to be their kryptonite, and it's Connor Bedard. Unbelievable stuff. They had 2 shots, the Pats, in the 3rd period. They got outshot 19-2, but they scored, got it to overtime, and won in overtime. I think, 6 goals on 19 shots shows you it doesn't matter what they have as from a group. It doesn't matter who they come up against. With Bedard in the lineup, the Pats always have a chance to win.
We knew that he's this good. That's not a surprise to anybody. But don't wave it in anybody's face. Just enjoy the hockey, and we'll talk about the future in the future. All right, when we come back, we got our bad beats coming up for Bet Regal. More on the junior playoffs. Tonight in the NHL, it is the RP Show. We're live from the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino on Game Plus Television. We're live streaming on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and on your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Peterson. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Welcome back, everybody. We are live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, and for the first time, I should have got my robe out. It's behind the backdrop here, but let's bring in Darren Moose DuPont. He's the betting champ of us all, but Bet Regal's our exclusive betting partner. Each week, they want to talk about which bad beat, which bad sporting play wrecked our ticket, and we all could have one. Can I go first, Moose? Because you usually have one.
You go first.
The Leafs blew Clark's ticket. Was it yesterday? But no, because I'm watching FAU. FAU plays, as you all know, just down the street from my place in Boca Raton, Florida, where I spend half the year. I'm thinking the Owls are going to win this Final Four game Saturday night. They were winning all game. Were you watching, Moose? And Lamont Butler made a jumper at the buzzer, sending San Diego State to their national championship game tonight with a 72-71 win over fellow mid-major Florida Atlantic in the Final Four on Saturday night. If you didn't see it, I can't even explain to you how soul-crushing that was. Just as an Owls fan, it reminded me of the 13th man here in Calgary in the Grey Cup when we lost the Grey Cup on the last play of the game. That's my bad beat. What's yours?
That's pretty good. I was watching that game, and, that's just a soul-crushing loss, period. Mine goes back to last week. I was sitting on a hockey one. It was the Rangers and Blue Jackets, and I saw a bettor in New York, how you can manipulate the lines, picked exactly a 5-2 win and had a decent amount of money on it, too, to pick the Rangers to beat the Blue Jackets 5-2. But with like 4 minutes left, the Blue Jackets pulled their goalie, and the Rangers scored to make it 6-2, busting this guy's once in a shot at the perfect score, 5-2. How often do we see teams pull their goalie with 4 minutes left? Not very often, especially down 3 goals. But it happened, busted the guy's bet, and he went on to lose. That was a tough, bad beat, too.
And our producer, Clark, had 5 games picked on his ticket on Sunday, got 4 right, and then his Leafs lose. You got to think the Leafs are going to beat Detroit. No. That's bad beats for Bet Regal, our exclusive betting partner. Sign up today. See what's new at betregal.ca. Flying through some of the other sports events from the weekend because it's a busy time. Corey Connors won the Valero Texas Open for the second time in 5 years Sunday for his second PGA Tour title. The Canadian now heads to the Masters, where he tied 6th last year for his second straight top 10 finish at Augusta National. Tomorrow, Kevin Smith, Golf Alberta, longtime Global Calgary guy, is going to be, you know him, Patty. Colin Paterson's here, very popular Calgary Flame and alum, nodding his head. He's coming up next. So we're going to talk Augusta, and I know that Bet Regal's all over that. So stay tuned tomorrow. And then in Orlando, Brooks Koepka became the first multiple winner in Live Golf when he closed with a 3-under 68, making a 4-foot par putt on the final hole for a one-shot victory over Sebastian Munoz. Live Golf Orlando came 1 week before Koepka and 17 other players in Live Golf are going to Augusta for the Masters. That would have been a pretty good poll question today. First poll question for our new sponsor, Key Auto Group. Should Live players be allowed to play in the Masters? But I don't want to start a holy war. So were you watching much of the golf this weekend?
I was watching a lot of it, actually. I was really dialed in. And Corey Connors really made it interesting. Patrick Rogers kind of fell apart a little bit on Sunday, but Connors did well, and we were pulling for the Canadian, of course. But how about this? Put it in your back pocket for a poll tomorrow or this week. Who wins the Masters? A PGA Tour player or a Live Golf player? Who wins the Masters?
We'll do that tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow.
That will be pretty hot. Yeah.
That reminds me, by the way, let me update the poll results here today. Very first day with Key Auto Group as our poll sponsor, and they will be till the end of time. Who wins the round 1 matchup between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning? Because this was cinched over the weekend. There's, a week and a half to go. You're a Colorado fan. You're not allowed an opinion. You know him. Rod's here from the security department. I didn't trip the alarm today. They're not in the poll. Exactly. 61% saying the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to win that series, Moose. Sorry to tell you. Can you imagine? I don't want to go there yet. Even think about
I don't want to go there.
Stanley Cup playoffs are going to be fun. Yeah, you wouldn't want to. Hey, folks, don't miss comedian, actress, producer, and podcaster Whitney Cummings live at the Grey Eagle Event Center Tuesday, April 25th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.ca. And I'll throw this in, another day of mixed results for Canadian skip Brad Gushue at the World Men's Curling Championship in Ottawa. Team Canada started the day of action with a 8-2 win in 7 innings over New Zealand, but dropped an 8-6 decision to Norway in the evening draw, leaving Gushue now at 2-2. I believe he was on the ice this morning. That's the one thing I don't like about these national curling events now. The Worlds, the Brier. It's hard to keep up, man. It's hard to keep up. So now I'll turn it over to the audience on Game Plus Television, WQE Radio, 902-518-3033. Kirk Sirota, you know him, Moose. He's written in and says, "Good morning, Rod. Great to see you last night in the Dome." Good morning, Moose. Kirk, good to see you.
Good morning.
The dude was in a frenzy, man, with how big the game was for the Calgary Flames, and I can't wait to get into this with Colin Paterson. It's the basis of my commentary today. Let's settle into this now. because we got through the quick 6 show topics. Funny what it took to get the Flames playing like their asses on fire, having their backs against the wall. And granted, it was 5-4 against an Anaheim team that had far more energy than you'd think, playing less than 24 hours after getting spanked up in Edmonton 6-0. But the house is full. Like, I mean, jammed. You couldn't get another soul in the Saddle Dome last night. And the same thing was going on in Winnipeg. And I thought it was interesting. The fan wrote in from Winnipeg and said, Rod, what do you think about Mark Scheifele getting moved to the right wing? Well, he scored, right? Bonus is trying to get him to do anything to produce. And he did. So here we are, final 10 games, home stretch, and the Flames and Jets are finally playing the way their coaches have been begging them to do all year. All it took was some urgency.
Yeah, it took some urgency, and they're responding. And for the Jets, emphatically responding, putting up 6 goals in these games. It's unbelievable. It's got the fan base rejuvenated and re-energized. Rick Bowness has pulled some of the right strings, and now it's about keeping this going, keeping everybody in the right frame of mind to continue the positivity. And look, we went through, Jared Dunban and I, at the numbers and the games you should win versus shouldn't win. And what we came up with is if you win the games you're supposed to and lose the games against the teams above you, both the Flames and the Jets should have both the same number of points. And it'll come down to the head-to-head. And that's what's happening. It's coming down to this head-to-head when they meet each other right away. So
Which is
what more
Wednesday,
could you want? This is exciting.
Yeah, from our viewers, Landry says, Colorado with a big win over Dallas on Saturday. These last couple of weeks are going to be a fun race to watch. Did I tell you we're before a live studio audience? I think everybody knows that by now. Tonight in the NHL, that's a further point. There are only 3 games, but Nashville is at Dallas, and Vegas is at Minnesota. Minnesota and Dallas can clinch with wins tonight. So we're getting down to the short strokes. And again, Nashville Predators TV host, broadcast host Kate Pedersen is going to be with us in hour 2 to preview that Nashville-Dallas game. I appreciate her doing that. I will be honest about this. Darren Workman is watching in Utah right now, and he says, good morning. Came from 78 degrees in Vegas, caught a show, an XFL game, and then woke up to 4 inches of snow in Salt Lake City. Ugh. I don't get it. And I was talking to Rich Sutter yesterday down in Lethbridge, and they were just under heavy, heavy snow in Lethbridge. He goes, how's it in Calgary? I said, clear as a bell. We've been very lucky here. Very, very lucky. But let's back up the truck here. We're really losing our focus early in today's show. Moose doesn't usually happen till hour 2. But Jacob Markstrom was lifted for the Flames last night in goal after allowing 2 goals after the first period. Stop it. I never listened to Daryl Sutter after the game because I talked to his brothers, and hey, spoiler alert, what Daryl says in front of the mic is about 180 degrees opposite of what he's actually thinking. So I don't know what the explanation was for them pulling Jacob Markstrom, other than to say, we're going to be playing 3 games in 4 nights, and we don't need him in net for the next 40 minutes. Let's put in Dan Vladar and see what he can do. We need to save Markey because he's been playing great. And as a Flames person told me last week, you know what's changed with Jacob Markstrom? He's gone back to all-star form over the last month. His baby was born. Usually it's the opposite. For anybody who's had kids, you have your kids, you don't sleep for 3 months. But whatever it is, Jacob Markstrom's turned the corner, and they say it coincides with him having them having their baby. So, yeah, I don't listen to the coach news conferences ever because they're not saying what they think. John Cooper in Tampa is probably the worst / best, depending how you look at it. Your guy Sheldon Keefe, did you see what he said last night after the Leafs got their butt handed to them by Detroit? I wasn't. Did you watch his quotes?
I wasn't. No.
Well, are you like me? You don't care what he has to say or believe what he has to say?
Well, yeah. To me, that whole game, I was more dialed into the Jets and the Flames and, what's going on at the Masters because the Leafs are now in this mode. You're playing Tampa, so they're starting to rest guys on certain days. They pull guys from the lineup. So, I'm looking at the game against Detroit. I'm like, okay, well, they don't really aren't really worried about this game. Why am I worried about this game, right? So to me, it's about being healthy and all that stuff, and the results going into the playoffs don't matter because they're not going to change anything for that group. So no, I'm not following the ins and outs now of the last few games. To me, this is now becoming like preseason for Toronto.
Yeah, well, this is some of the things I want to get into with Colin Paterson, who's coming up next, and he's sitting on the couch here. There's that with resting guys, and they should be resting guys. They've already clinched, so they should be. But then I see Columbus last night. Who they beat? Ottawa in overtime, and the Blue Jackets are playing their butts off. You can't tell me that they're tanking. You can't. The management's tried, but the players are not. From our viewers, we'll get to this throughout the program. Kevin the Medium says, is anyone else confused by the UFC WWE merger? I'm going to read that a little later in our sports update. We don't have time to get it in here now. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, writes in, he says, all the live golfers except one were snubbed from the pre-Masters press conferences. Snubbed? They were probably happy to not have to meet with the media. That would be my guess. And from Troy in Toronto, he says, I may be a jaded Toronto guy, but do the majority of you people voting in the poll today believe Tampa will beat the Leafs in the first round? Or is it you just can't wish us hated Torontonians well? Well, again, I voted for the Leafs. Hey, we got a Torontonian here. Listen, we're going to break because Colin's got a million things. I can tell. I can read his mind. Colin Paterson, Stanley Cup champion with the Leafs. Sorry. You're not that old.
Whoa!
Yeah, sorry. But he is a Toronto guy.
You jinxed it.
Paterson.
Hot take.
Yeah, I jinxed it. Stanley Cup champion with the Flames joins us here next. Moose, I think you're done for the day, so thank you.
Have fun.
Colin Paterson in next. We're live from the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino in Calgary, Calgary's entertainment destination. We're on the Game Plus television network across all 10 provinces and 31 U.S. states. Live streaming on YouTube, Apple and Spotify, and on your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Another beautiful morning in the foothills. We're live at that place, Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, which, by the way, I know I mentioned earlier Whitney Cummings. If you love the timeless music of the Eagles, and who doesn't, then you can't afford to miss Hotel California, the original Eagles tribute, Thursday, April 27th. Tickets on sale at Ticketmaster.ca. We're live at Grey Eagle. I'm ringing the bell because we got making his RP show debut, Colin Paterson, Stanley Cup champion, Calgary Flames, the pride of Rexdale, Ontario. Listen, I say the staff loves you, Flames. Yeah. You noticed that, eh?
I noticed that. I would consider that a standing ovation.
That is a standing ovation. Big Flames fans here, man. You got your alumni hat on?
Absolutely.
I was honestly, because this was your first appearance on the show, I'm like, I hope the Flames win the night before. I hope the Flames win the night before.
What do you think I was thinking?
Same thing, right?
Yeah.
And they made you sweat 5-4 over Anaheim last night.
Yeah, you know what, at this point in the season, it doesn't matter how you win, you just have to win. And whether you take it to overtime and win in overtime, or you don't play as well, and maybe, we were talking about pulling the goalie yesterday, and sometimes it's, it might be a wake-up call for the team. And I think that's what Darryl was trying to do, is say, hey, you guys, you got to step up here. Markstrom's played unbelievable the last couple of weeks, so you guys need to pull your weight too.
No kidding. I jumped into this too fast. I mentioned Rexdale, Ontario. Colin played 504 NHL games with the Flames and Sabres and won a Stanley Cup in '89. But I mean, you're a Flame. Those last two seasons in Buffalo, were they a footnote or were they a good time in Buffalo?
It was a great time. Yeah. Buffalo gets a bad rap, but it's a great city. The old Odd obviously wasn't the best rink going at the time, but it was unique, and you only went down there for games. We never practiced there. We had a practice rink called Saberland, which probably should have been condemned 20 years before I was there, but that's where we practiced. But you only went downtown for the games, so it was really good.
Okay, so for those that weren't familiar with Colin necessarily, now you are. Now, Colin, you see, as a Flames alum, and you rep this team all over the place, I see it. Good for you. This place loves the Flames, eh? I'm talking about Grey Eagle, not the city. This place, right? Everybody's smiling. They're so happy to be down here. You must have done a lot of events here, I would think, over the years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you a gambler?
I'm not a gambler, no. Which, that's probably good for me.
Only with our lives, as we say. Okay, so now we got the background taken care of. Let's jump back in it. I saw Frankie Corrado on TSN, one of the analysts, and I think he's one of the best young analysts out there right now. He said, so much will be forgiven with the Flames this year if they make the playoffs.
Absolutely.
You agree with that?
Absolutely agree with that. I mean, if you can make it into the playoffs, and we'll probably talk about this in a minute, but if you can do that, a new season starts. So if you can do well in the playoffs, then the whole season is forgotten. And so you look at, some of the players that have come in, the new players that have come in, and you go, boy, it's a tough adjustment at times. You're in front of the media all the time. You're making some bigger money. You want to prove yourself. You might be over trying what you're trying to do. And that sounds dumb, but you might be making too many plays and not just playing the simple game that Darryl would like. So when you get in the playoffs and you really refine your game, it becomes very simple. And if you can be successful at that, everything throughout the year is forgotten.
Well, you've been through all those wars, but I got to guess, I mean, we met at it was the Rocky Mountain Rotary Charity Golf Classic last year. You came up and said hi and said some nice things. Did you think then, mind you, that was before Kachuk and Gaudreau left town. That was before Huberdeau and Kadri showed up, and Uyghur. But did you think last summer they would be in this position now with this lineup?
No, I actually thought, after the situation happened where, Johnny was leaving and then they trade Kachuk, and I thought, Brad Treliving did an unbelievable job of bringing in really good quality players. I thought they were actually better on paper. And sometimes, being better on paper doesn't gel into the chemistry of the team and what's happened. And, a lot of guys had career years last year. You got to remember that.
Yep.
And I mean, if you're having a career year every year, well, that's something different. But if you're having a career year in, your 6th year or 7th year or 10th year, that's a little different than, having, progressing every year. So when you see that, you go, well, you bring in new guys, you got to get that chemistry going. And it didn't happen right away. And I think for a lot of players, when you come to a Canadian team after you've played in the U.S. for a while, it's way different. I mean, you're on page one, you're on every newscast, every broadcast, you're the first thing. You're not behind football, baseball, basketball, college sports. You're right there in center. Everybody recognizes you. You just don't walk down the street anymore or go for a coffee and nobody knows who you are. They want to talk hockey and they want to talk about the game. They want to talk about last night. They want to talk about the Oilers, So it goes on. And there is a different, pressure that's on you, and you want to perform. Like Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Uyghur, they want to perform. Obviously, Kadri's been involved in, obviously, with the Leafs, so he's been under the most intense media before. And, now he's come back, he's won a cup, he's now back in Canada. I mean, there is a lot of pressure on you to perform.
I'm enjoying this, and probably next hour we'll get into more of the other NHL teams, but again, it's the first time I've had the opportunity to chat with Colin, and to be honest, I went to Mount Royal University, 1991. That was 30 years ago. Now I'm back. Has it changed from then till now, or was it as intense then for you? Because you were playing then.
Yeah, I think when you're playing, it's probably a little more intense because you're in the game. I can't control the game now. Not that I could when I played, but let's get that straight.
Yeah.
But, when you're on the ice, you have a little more control. When you're not, and you're not part of the organization, you're a fan. You're a fan with a deep attachment to the team. There's no question about that.
Yeah, but for the players now, with the advent of social media and just the way the media is overall, I wonder, is it more intense now? And I don't know whether it is or not, because again, I was out in the bars back then. I would see the Flames. I won't name them. You know who I'm talking about. Because they couldn't go anywhere then.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any different now.
No, I think it's tougher now for those players. I think it's tougher for any player in the NHL to do anything now. Whether you're on the road or at home, everybody's in the media now. Everybody wants a picture of you doing something bad or a video of you saying something that can be, offside, and that goes out. So I feel bad for the guys in that sense because it is very tough. But, back in the day, the Battle of Alberta was intense, and that's, everybody talked about the Battle of Alberta. It didn't matter if we weren't playing, Edmonton for 3 weeks. You see somebody on the street, they want to talk about the Battle of Alberta. So, last year in the playoffs, it sort of resurrected that, which was really neat. There was a lot of energy around it, although this year you only play them 3 times. So back in the day, we play them 8 times during the regular season. You probably play them 2 to 4 times in the preseason, and then if you played in the playoffs, you were 7 times. You could play them, 17 to 19 times in a year.
We're going to take a timeout and come back with a sports update, more with Colin Paterson, and we'll push this discussion into hour 2 about all the other teams. I appreciate you coming down today, man. Stanley Cup champion with the Flames, Colin Paterson. We'll be right back to Grey Eagle after this timeout on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, and your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat. Lot of sun, smoky in the air. That's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Look at that beautiful place. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, the place to be, Calgary's entertainment destination. And I don't have a sports update ready to roll here right now, so I'll push it into the next hour. But I have a ton of text messages that have come in. 902-518-3033, the number to reach us here. Kevin in Airdrie's watching. Where is it? He goes, I have a picture of the time I got to meet Colin. He sent it in. You want to, oh, there it is. Do you want to dig that up if you don't mind, Producer Clark, and we'll throw it on the screen. This is Kevin the Medium with Colin Paterson. It's some alumni event. Do you see it on your screen,
I
Patty?
can't see it on that screen.
You can't? Okay,
No.
well, they haven't put it up yet. They will. Hang on. Wilf is watching in Steinbach, Manitoba. He says, hi, Rod. Leafs will lose to Tampa Bay. Jets versus Flames winner on Wednesday probably makes the playoffs. Bill Edwards is watching in Regina, and he says, Leafs all the way. Kirk in Saskatoon regarding the junior playoffs says the Blades versus Pats has been crazy. The series is not over yet. So let's swing this. You got the photo? Okay, if you don't mind, we'll throw this up. And now you have a look, Patty. Do you remember it, Colin Paterson? That was you, and can you see that?
I can barely see it.
Okay.
I might have to get the glasses on. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. 2017, you were wearing a cowboy hat. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. That was a poker tournament, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good memory.
Yeah.
So our poll question today for Key Auto Group, and today is their first day as our official poll sponsor, Key Auto Group, is Leafs Lightning in round 1. We found out Saturday that that's going to happen for a second consecutive year. You're from Rexdale, Ontario. You tell me a suburb of Toronto. How do you think that series is going to go?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot of pressure on the Leafs the first 2 games at home. Always when you're the home team, which I believe they will be, there is a lot of pressure. And you look at a team like Boston. Boston's had an unbelievable year, but they're 1 loss away from losing home ice advantage. And for the Leafs, you know the media there. We talked a bit about it, but there are high pressure on them. And if they end up losing one of those 2 games, boy, being a Leaf isn't as much fun as it is when you're winning.
So it went 7 last year. Do you see it going 7 this year?
I think there's probably, I would say 6 games, but, as I said, I'm not a gambler, so I'm not a good gambler.
You wouldn't throw
I wouldn't throw a big amount of money on that.
Well, because of the wars you've been in, I don't think the game's changed since you played that much. It's still going to come down to the basic thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where I think, Tampa might hold a bit of an advantage. They've been there before. People can say, well, they're tired. Well, they're getting some rest now, and their key guys are really solid, and they understand, what it takes to win. And on the Leafs, they've tried to, advance their, the bottom end of their lineup. Their top end guys are still the same. Maybe, O'Reilly might be the difference on that. But, will he be healthy enough? Will he be in fine form? That's the thing that remains to be seen. It comes down, a lot of times, goaltending. I've never seen a team with a bad goaltender or a marginal goaltender win the Stanley Cup. So when you look at the goaltending, Leafs have adequate goaltending, but I think that when you look at Tampa Bay,
it's the best.
It's the best, yeah.
Right
now.
Andre Vasilevsky. We're going to push a lot of this into the next hour, but I got to ask you, well, there's a couple things here. Chris in Ontario, watching in Heidelberg, Ontario. Do you know where that is? Because
I don't know where Heidelberg is, but I'm sure I've probably been through
He says after a 4-0 win Saturday night, the number 8 seed Kitchener Rangers now with the 2-0 series lead over the number 1 Windsor Spitfires in Shane Wright. Gotta love junior hockey, but as they say, you gotta win 4, and Windsor is a really good team. Thank you, Chris, for writing that in, and that's why I say my Pats are up 2-0 on the Blades, and the Pats friends are cooing and crowing. It ain't over yet, especially in junior. You got to nail this stuff. It's okay for the fans to think it is. The players can't think that it is, right?
No. You got to battle all the way to the end. They, always say the toughest game to win is the 4th game, to win a series. And it is, because everybody's back is up against the wall. And, in a series, you can get up 2-0, get a little ahead of yourself, and you absolutely cannot do that. And that's where it comes back to bite you.
I don't think John Paddock will allow that to happen to the Pats. But I looked up Colin's Hockey DB, the website that I'm on multiple times daily, and it says that he coached in the Western Hockey League from 1991 to 2007. I was going to say congratulations on that. We're only in a minute. That's not you.
It's not me, no. I did not coach in the Western Hockey League, but do we have time to get in the story?
We have about 40...
Yeah, it's more than a 40-second story, but
Okay.
We'll come back to that. But you have to love the Chinois, when they own the team in Kootenay. They made the announcement. They didn't say Colin Paterson, here's his background. They just said Colin Paterson. So I was getting phone calls from all the Calgary media saying, what are you doing going to be an assistant coach there? I said, well, it's not me.
I was going to ask you. Well, how about that? What a world. Okay, well, there sounds like there is more to this story. I will tell you this, Hour 1 brought to you in part by Landmark Cinemas. In theaters now, John Wick Chapter 4 starring Keanu Reeves. He takes on his most lethal adversaries yet in the upcoming 4th installment of the series. Again, John Wick Chapter 4 in theaters now. Hour 2 coming after this brief pause on Game Plus and WQEE.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
He's laughing at the fact I said I still get nervous every time I interview Connor Bedard. I do. I don't care. Who knows? He's 16. I'm 49. I've done thousands of interviews. The kid's eyes just pierce right through you. Oh, boy, I love watching him. It's the biggest reason why this jersey's up here.
This is the Rod Peterson Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hour 2. Man, it goes fast. Your favorite daytime sports and entertainment talk show, live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination. We're live on the Game Plus television network, which in Alberta and BC is channel 924 on your cable system. And all across Canada, Rogers, Cogeco, Eastlink, Videotron. And I tell you what, we've got Stanley Cup champion Colin Paterson with us. Calgary Flames great, Buffalo Sabres alum, the pride of Rexdale, Ontario. I got to be honest, man. They call you Patty, right?
Patter, whatever,
Patty.
Heater. Yeah, you can get. There's many different names.
Rexdale, Ontario. Tell me about that.
It's great. It's part of Etobicoke, borough of Etobicoke, and the west end of Toronto, near Woodbine Racetrack. So I have been over to Woodbine a few times in my life. So.
But not a gambler.
Not a real gambler, not a good gambler.
You went to watch the horse races.
Well, we've donated some money there. Let's say that.
I love it. I love it. Woodbine, very good friends of ours. And so we got a lot of things to get into here with Colin Paterson, not the least of which is where we're at in the stretch drive of the National Hockey League season and looking ahead to the playoffs. But there's some fun things, too. We've been telling some old hockey stories and him winning a Stanley Cup in 1989 with these Flames. But off the top of the show, I don't know if you heard it. The viewers did. They heard my clip talking about Connor Bedard. And listen, Patter, I've been interviewing the kid since he was 14. And ever since, even then, he intimidated me. He's got this glaze. He's got something about him. Your thoughts on Connor Bedard?
Well, I think he's a great player. I mean, he's going to be #1 overall, and there's a reason for it. So you watch those generational players, and they're special. And it's tough to put it all into, a couple of words. But, you look at Connor McDavid, you look at, Sidney Crosby. I mean, those generational guys, or, Nathan McKinnon, they've got that extra, whether it's their hockey IQ, their speed, their stick handling, their puck skills, but they can put it all together. Like, there's great players. There's great guys who are great skaters, great, playmakers. There's guys who think the game well, but when you put everything together in one package, that's a very unique player, and he is that player.
That's him, yeah. And somebody asked me this week, they said, what goes into Hockey Canada and the WHL's exceptional player exemption or status? And I said, I don't really know, other than what you just talked about, but they did it when he was 14. Like, they clearly know what they're doing.
Yeah. And you know what? When you look at him, he's been under the gun, under pressure his whole career, right? When you look at a kid, who's 14, and you go through, 5 years or 4 years of playing at a high level and then representing Canada, have the spotlight on you. That's a lot of pressure, and he's handled it extremely well.
Winnipeg viewers want us to talk about Jets and Flames, and we will, okay? It's coming up on Wednesday, but I just want to say one more thing, because a lot of people have tuned in. They know that my love for junior hockey, the Regina Pats, are up shockingly 2-0 on Saskatoon in this first-round series, with both wins coming in Saskatoon. The Blades have made their last 3 games, going into yesterday, $750,000 in ticket revenue off. And this is junior hockey, Patter.
I know. And well, you look at
numbers.
Well, you look what the Flames did with the Hitman when Connor Bedard was coming in.
17,222.
Yeah, and it was brilliant. They focus the attention on him. I mean, everybody wants to come see him. He's a spectacular player. He's the marquee player of not only the Western Hockey League, but of amateur hockey right now. So you want to see him. You want to see him before he turns professional. And, people going to the games, that's a big draw for them. It's not just another game. It is going to see, a marquee player. Because I'm sure a lot of people, in Ontario or, the Erie Otters, when Connor McDavid was there, were going, we'll see him next year, we'll see him next year. And you don't get a chance for that.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. And I enjoy listening to you talk. All I'll say, we covered this last hour. The Pats are up 2-0. People are crowing, particularly Pats fans, saying, oh, you thought we should trade him. I still do, but we'll talk about that next year. Just enjoy the series, because it is not over. Now, okay, Jets Flames Wednesday night. Let's delve into that. What's fun about this interactive nature is we will talk about what the audience wants us to talk about. And you understand, there's still a game in between for the Flames. Chicago's here Tuesday. You can't get caught up in this.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about before with the playoffs. You get up 2-0, you can't think, well, let's go to the next series. No, the Flames have to focus on Chicago right now. And the teams that they're playing are, other than Winnipeg and sort of Nashville, the other teams have nothing to lose. So when you're in that situation, you look at Anaheim last night. We talked about it. They got shellacked by Edmonton, but they come in and they put up a pretty good game. And they take the Flames almost to the bitter end. And so when you're playing teams like that, you got to get on them early. You can't give them a chance to be in the game. And I think the Flames last night, they played Anaheim a couple of weeks ago, took it to them pretty easily. And now you face Anaheim again last night, and all of a sudden you're not on them as quick as you were in Anaheim, and they get a goal. and now they got 2 goals. Now you're behind 2-0, as we talked about. Darryl makes that change in net, which I think was more for the guys to say, you guys need to step up here, and they did. And they came back, and I love the way they shared the scoring. Guys who typically aren't big scorers were scoring. Lucci's goal was exceptional, and I'm a big Michael Stone fan. I think he's probably arguably the most underrated player in the NHL and the best value in the NHL. And I don't understand why another team didn't come this summer and sign him. I go, if I'm Las Vegas, I go, why wouldn't you want to put him with his brother and say, finish your career here? I mean, he's not. I think he's making the league minimum, which is $750,000, which would have been spectacular back in the day. And that's U.S. dollars too, man.
Taking that in a second. Yeah. Well, my thing is, my second team is the Vegas Golden Knights. As you know, we're just through here and won. I thought the Flames got the short end of some calls. There was 2 goals called back that night. But I don't question too much what Kelly McCrimmon does, because a month ago they didn't have any goalies, and now they got 3.
Yeah.
Logan Thompson, Jonathan Quick, and Aiden Hill. So they're going to be a tough out, Vegas, in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they've built that team, and talk about Kelly McCrimmon. He's a great guy, and his brother Brad was a fantastic guy and a competitor and a hard worker, and we miss him.
Al is watching on YouTube, and he's had a lot of things to say here. He says, Colin, Paterson, I remember him. Mike Vernon, Jim Poplinski, Tim Hunter, Lanny McDonald, Joe Newendike, Gary Roberts, Theo Fleury. Dang, I still remember them all. Al McGinnis, how does it feel to be part of that group? That's got to be the greatest thing in the world.
It is. You know what? I mean, when you're average player playing on good teams, it makes you better, right? I always said, hey, I'm an average player. Put me with 2 good players, I'll be decent. I'll be above average. But I say, put me with 2 great players, I'll be good. And I was fortunate enough, to play on a line with Doug Gilmour and Joe Mullen.
Not bad.
The cup. Yeah, and the guys on the team had a great nickname for that line too.
What was it?
Doug Gilmour and Joe Mullen.
I've used that one before.
Oh, I have used it, many times. But, to be in that group, and I truly thought we'd win 2 or 3 Stanley Cups. I mean, just at the time, you figure, that's the way it was. Teams would go on runs, and in '86, we were in the final against Montreal. I thought we'd win, and we didn't. So you think you're going to be back in '87, '88, and you don't. And you finally get back in '89, you win one. You think, in '90, you're going to win. But things happen over those years. Every year something changes, whether your players change or you have injuries, you don't have the depth that you once had. Those things all impact on going further in the Stanley Cup and winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, well, I kind of got a sense of what kind of guy you are. You could have won more, or you could have won none, because look at the division you were in.
Yeah.
Right? How'd you like to be the Jets from then?
And the Jets had a great team, and people don't understand that. They had an
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
I'm Bridget Lequette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
All right, welcome back to Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, everybody. There's a live look in. Another beautiful morning here in the foothills. We're talking hockey. By the way, on the way, Kate Pedersen, host of Nashville Predators broadcast there in Dallas tonight. Kate Pedersen, you might remember her dad, Leaf, the late, great Leaf Pedersen, former Rough Riders and Argonauts receiver and CFL on TSN color commentator. From our audience, by the way, Colin Paterson is with us, Stanley Cup champion with the Flames. Terry Livermore says hi. Terry in Calgary writes and he says hi to Colin. Wonderful guy. We did get knocked off the air last segment. I don't know why. Stephen in North Dakota is watching and said, did Rod irritate security again and they shut off the show? Not today. But I did trip an alarm last week. I wasn't very popular, Patter, around here last week. But we're good. We're good now. And regarding that Pat's Blade series, and by the way, there are 7 other series going on that we should talk about, but Glenn in Medicine Hat says maybe Pat's goalie Drew Sim deserves a shout-out. It's not about the goals he's giving up. It's about the saves he's making and when he's making them. For the junior hockey fans, well, I don't have it up here right now. We'll go through what the other series are a little later on. We don't want to waste Colin Paterson's time. But I was joking about Tim Hunter walking in here, and he got into it with Dion, your head of security, who's an Oilers fan. They know Dion.
I can't believe they'd hire them here.
I know, right? Yeah, there's the screening process is not
We're
that
gonna have
stringent.
to check that out.
But that Oilers Flames, let's be honest, right now it's not a debate. Who's better?
Yeah, I mean,
or would you argue?
Well,
you
I
can't.
think. Yeah, it's tough to argue it right now, but I think I would love to see them have a rematch in the playoffs. I'd love to see the Flames get in, and obviously that, and then end up playing the Oilers at some point because I think they'd be better this time around. It was disappointing to watch the way they went out last year, but when you've got 2 of the best players in the world, I mean, Connor McDavid is just, he's beyond good. Like, he's just. The way he sees the game, we talked about him before, but I go, he's somewhat unselfish too. And, and I think he's getting more to shooting the puck and obviously scoring a lot more goals. But he just sees the game so well. His speed is incredible. His shot, top ranked. I mean, he just is the ultimate player right now. And I would argue the best in the world.
Well, I kind of feel like this town will come undone should the Flames make it into the playoffs. Who knows? And we will get to that Wednesday game against Winnipeg in a second. But what I hear here, Patter, a lot, well, we don't have a game breaker. We don't have a McDavid. We don't have a Draisaitl. I'm like, few do. That can't be a reason to not.
Oh, no, you know, and I mean, you can have great players, but when you play a team that plays as a team, you can beat those great players.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, back in the day when the Oilers had, you know, Gretzky, Messier, Lowe, Coffey, I mean, Curry, I mean, the list went on, Anderson. And I think the most underrated guy in that was probably Grant Fuhr. Played great, but they had a great team supporting that. You know, don't forget, they were great. They were a great team. It wasn't just they had these great players. They were a great team. And Slats had the magic, and John Muckler, of bringing in guys to augment and help the situation. And if they lost a guy, they'd bring another guy in. And they just seemed to do that very, very well. And that's why they were a successful team.
You know, if you have questions about the other NHL teams, by all means, fire them at us. But I could sit here and talk Flames and Oilers forever, and I feel like you could too.
I could, yeah. Right? We got to throw a shout out to Terry too.
Terry in Calgary?
Yeah, Terry Livermore. Yeah, absolutely.
How do you know him?
I've known him for many, many years. He's a lawyer in town. He retired. And, yeah.
Nice guy. He comes down here and watches the show from time to time.
Really good man.
Well, so do the people get, Colorado, I get it.
Okay.
Have you noticed?
Oh, yeah, I noticed we got a Colorado fan here. And we're going to give a shout out to Colorado because, I mean, they got two great Calgary kids on that team. You know, Cale Makar, who is a fantastic player. And then you also have Logan O'Connor.
Yeah.
And Logan's a great player. And Logan has found his place there. And he, you know what? You forget about the guys under the superstars because, you know, a guy like Logan O'Connor is a great player. And he, you know, in my mind, he is one of those things that you have to add to the mix if you want to be a champion. And, you know, obviously his dad, you know, is Miles O'Connor, and a great Calgary kid too as well.
These names come up every day. Makar and now O'Connor in this town. I guess Cale just won Male Athlete of the Year in Calgary.
Well,
you know, so congrats as a Calgarian, obviously. But I don't want to get away without talking about Grant Fuhr. And I wonder if you think people get way too hung up, fans and media, on the numbers, because I talked to Grant Fuhr and I said, how do you feel, Grant? This is not an interview. We were at an event together, and I'd never talked to him before. I said about people say you shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame based on your goals against. And he's like, what?
Yeah. What?
He's like 4 Stanley Cups. He goes, I don't care about my goals against average. But everybody gets hung up on that stuff.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of Grant Fuhr, right? And that's why he was a great goalie. And I played with Grant in Buffalo. And, you know, but playing against him in Edmonton, you know, the game might have been 7-6, but he's, you know, for them, but he's stopping that big play that's going to tie it up. And, I mean, he was just a gamer. And, you know, we used to outshoot them quite a bit from my memory, but you know that memory is getting a little foggy now. But you know he would make those big saves, and he was a great goaltender. You got to remember back in the day, the game was a little different too. The equipment, you know, look at the goalie equipment. Look at the size of the goalies. You know, why couldn't we score more?
Yes, but I never thought we'd get back to the day where we are now of 140, 150-point seasons. I didn't think that would ever happen, and here we are. 3 Oilers this year have 60 assists. I don't know if those kinds of numbers I appreciate. The last time 3 Oilers had 60 assists was 1986. Gretzky, Curry, Coffey. Yeah. This Oilers team's putting up 80s numbers. That's
crazy. I mean, it is. You know, when you look at the size of the goalies, the way the game is too. But I mean, you don't have the hooking and holding like you used to have.
It's totally different.
You don't have the you don't have the red line now, where we had the red line. And thank goodness for that back in the day, because probably saved me a few minuses of the Gretzky to Curry passes that were just over that red line.
Well, what's funny is. You said that we've had everybody down here, and we have had everybody down here except one guy, which we'll get to, and you know who that is.
I know.
But I asked Lanny if he'd have scored 500 in today's game, and he goes, we don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Doesn't really, it's not even worthwhile to debate.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to debate that, but I go, all the great players would have been great in today's game. great players in today's game would be great.
You would think.
Yeah. Because, I mean, people always ask me, how would Gretzky do? And I go, I think Gretzky would be better in today's game because you don't have the hooking and holding. He was an exceptional passer. He saw the game so well, and, he could feed guys, as we talked about. For people to understand, back in the day, they had the red line. You couldn't do a two-line pass. So if you passed it from below your blue line and it went over the red line and the guy was already over the red line, that was offside. The guy had to be behind the red line to accept that pass, skating in. And, there's a ton of calls like that. You think of just the offside, where we had automatic offside. It wasn't like, you could delayed offside. It was automatic. So the game, the game's a lot faster now. And I think a guy like Gretzky, and I think of, the way he saw the game. He
might have more points.
He might have more, yeah. And I truly believe he would, I go, being able to feed, the number of power plays they have now and the way it's set up and, the 3-on-3, let alone getting to overtime. I go like, holy man, can you imagine him 3-on-3? I couldn't.
No.
And I wouldn't want, I would have got off the ice.
Playing
I would have got off the ice quickly, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think that minus.
Chris, by the way, from Heidelberg, Ontario, writes in on the 902 line. He's watching on Game Plus television right now, and he says, Heidelberg is 10 minutes northwest of Kitchener-Waterloo.
Okay, know where it is.
Okay, it's just about an hour west of Toronto.
Kitchener-Waterloo,
A lot of German people there?
A lot of German people. Yeah.
Colin Paterson with us from Rexdale, Ontario. Kevin in North Dakota says, greetings and hallucinations from flaky 17-degree Minot, North Dakota. I assume you're talking Fahrenheit. He says, junior hockey is similar to Mother Nature, predictably unpredictable. Cold and then hot. Yes, for sure. Let me ask you this, though. It feels to me like the Flames and now the Jets, and I promised you we'd get back to this, started playing once their backs were up against the wall in this last 10 games.
Yeah.
Why did it take this long?
That's a great question. I was watching, you're looking at Winnipeg, you're watching Calgary chase them, and I go, I don't know if Winnipeg can do it, and they rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
I think both teams are sort of a little bit streaky too, where they go on, a 5-game winning streak, then they're on a 5-game losing streak. And, when you start doing that, and if you can hit yourself on the right stride, well, that's pretty good. The team that, concerns me too is Nashville, because Nashville has those games in hand, but they got a really tough schedule. And every time you count them out, they seem to bounce back. And then Seattle. I don't know how Seattle's doing it, but they just managed to keep their head above water.
Playing as a team. Look, I see the Flames fans complain that they don't have a McDavid. Have you seen Seattle's roster? Who are these guys?
Yeah, they're still there.
But they're playing as a team.
Yeah, and that's where I think, Calgary has a much better team than what they've played as, and I hope that's going to come around. If you look at the last couple of games, their fourth line has probably been their best. Like I love Lucic. Walker Duehr has been great.
Yeah.
I think he's a great young talent for the Flames. And then Lewis has been, he's a consummate pro. And I go, those guys have been their best line the last few games. So it's up to the other guys in the team to really step up, and everybody on the team's got to be better. And that's all you have to do.
Just wish it started a little earlier, because if they miss.
Yeah, I mean, when you miss, when you lose out, there's always those things, and you go back, and it doesn't happen in the last couple of weeks. It's been going on all year. They've lost a lot of overtime games. Well, they got to be better in overtime. They lost probably one of the best overtime players in Johnny Gaudreau. You look at the Flames' success over the last few years in overtime. It's because of Johnny. That was his game, right? Overtime was his game. So you have to, how do we, replace that? And what do you have to do in your overtime? What's your strategy going in overtime? And I don't know those things. I'm not that involved with the team.
I want to throw this out again. Our poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center is, brand new. It's rolled off my tongue for 971 shows. Key Auto Group today begins their sponsorship as our official poll sponsor. Who will win the first-round meeting between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning? And here is Key Auto Group has the largest selection of quality new and pre-owned vehicles in the Parkland area. Trucks, SUVs, your journey begins at keyautogroup.ca. Clark, what do we have on YouTube as a body of work? Because on Twitter it was 58% Tampa. What are they saying on YouTube? So they're both saying Tampa. So I just want to update that again. Key Auto Group now bringing you our daily poll question. Key Auto Group has the largest selection of quality new and pre-owned vehicles in the Parkland area. Cars, trucks, SUVs. Your journey begins at keyautogroup.ca. Not to be repetitive here, Colin Paterson, but I did ask you last hour. You said it could come down to who's the best goaltending. It always does. So does that mean we're going with Tampa? Who are you voting for?
Well, you know,
sorry to put you on this. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think Tampa's got such a, good team. They've been there before. We've talked about, but their goaltending. If he's hot, I mean, it's tough to beat that. You look at last year. Everybody was saying, "Well, Tampa's tired," and somehow they take it to Game 7 and they win. But it's because of the goaltending. And Toronto, as I said, there's a lot of pressure on Toronto. This will be their 10th year if they don't make it out of the first round. So, you're going to get all that. But I think the thing that really can help Toronto is everybody says Toronto's going to lose. Then that might, put them into more relaxed mode.
I know. It's the mental game.
It is,
it's
and it comes down to that. You got to be, there's a lot of mental aspects in the game of hockey, and you have to be mentally tough to win.
Well, and so, again, we're going to bring it around to that Jets-Flames game. But there are so many guys that grew up in the Toronto area, or just Ontario. Just forget it. Ontario, period. Let's, Dave Poulin's become a good friend of ours. Timmins, Leaf fan. Biz Nasty, Paul Bissonnette, well in Ontario, Leaf fan. They all come out of the woodwork now. Jamie McCowan wants to see the Leafs Oilers in the Stanley Cup. Are you one of those guys? Because you're a Toronto guy.
No, because I didn't play for Toronto, right?
Okay. It makes a difference.
Yeah, it does make a difference. I mean, you play one game for Toronto, and and if you played one game in the NHL and you played for Toronto, everybody in Toronto knows you. Yeah, but you could play. You played 20 years, not playing Toronto, and people in Toronto go, "I don't know who you are." So I'm not a big. I want Toronto to win. And I don't want the Oilers to win. So that would be the worst final for me, personally. I don't know why Jamie McCowan would say that. I'd have to talk with him.
That's hilarious. I sensed that when I said it's not a debate who's better now, Flames or Oilers. It was like you were biting a lemon. You didn't want to admit it.
I didn't want to admit it, but you know what? Right now it looks that way. But as I said, I would love to see them play in the playoffs.
Pardon me. Swerve writes in and he says, Tampa is old and slow. I got to say this. Would you not agree they and Pittsburgh are just on the precipice, maybe Pittsburgh even more so, that if they don't go far, this is it? It's right. That's a fast drop-off.
Yeah, and that's true with any team, right, that has been at the top of the game for a long time. But doesn't mean, I'm not saying Tampa's going to win the Stanley Cup, but I do think, it's going to be a real tough grind for Toronto against Tampa in that first round. And anybody who faces Pittsburgh, same thing, because they've got the experience. They might not be the fastest team, but they're smart. And you know what? They're still there. They've still got those key guys that, can push you to the next level. And, whether it's one series or maybe a couple of series, but I don't see either of those teams winning the Stanley Cup, Pittsburgh or Tampa, but I see them, I wouldn't want to play them in the first round.
Well, I'm smiling at what you said about Jamie McCown's prediction of Oilers league. That'd be the worst thing for me.
Just why would he? I'm gonna call him as soon as I get
really have no idea why he would say that. Yeah. Peter Mark predicted it too. I think honestly, it's because they feel the Oilers are that good.
Yeah, but you know what? I think the Oilers still have to get by, and he's left now. Colorado. You know, eventually, and I think Colorado's just starting to come in their own.
He just moved back a little bit.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Colorado is a really good team, and they can match speed for speed. If people are talking about, speed, I go. The only problem with Colorado is, is their goaltending good enough to win that? But people can say that about Edmonton too.
For sure. Well, by the way, so for John in Winnipeg, for an hour, he's been asking about the Jets and Flames on Wednesday. And trust me, I get it. Our good friend Hustler Paterson for Winnipeg Sports Talk, who I think will be on here tomorrow, has been saying that Wednesday game, Jets and Flames in Winnipeg, will be the biggest game in the franchise history of Jets 2.0 since they came back from Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I can see why they're geeked up. But the players, again, can't be thinking. Can you explain why? I mean, I guess the Jets players can. if they want, but the Flames can't.
No, and you can't get, so hyped up to think, because sometimes you can, waste that energy, in the warm-up. You can have the best warm-up ever and you're all fired up, and then, you're drained for the game because you've been thinking about it too much. But it is a huge game for that franchise, for both franchises, really. But as we talked about, Calgary can't be thinking about that now. Obviously, Winnipeg's preparing for them, and they're preparing. They're watching all the game film. They're, studying how the Flames play on, power play, penalty killing, 5-on-5, who their key guys are. Goaltending. They're probably going over every goal that's been scored in the last, 2 months if they're doing their homework right. And they're going to be keyed up for that game. The Flames haven't played a ton of back-to-back games where, they're going to a team that's being rested. The Flames have been on the beneficiary side of, team going up to Edmonton, them having the game night off, and then playing that same team the next night. So it'll be interesting to watch back-to-back situations for the Flames.
I'm highly intrigued by this chat. You've been here an hour, and I still have a million things. We'll try to get this in 2 minutes. Well, I don't want to put any pressure on you. Kate Pedersen coming up from Nashville, but you mentioned the mental game a couple of times. And now there's mental coaches, there's all kinds of, there's shooting coaches, nutrition coaches. Bernie Nichols is on this show a lot, and I love Bernie. And he goes, we didn't even realize what we didn't have back then.
Yeah.
So how was anybody working with your mental game, or did you have to figure it out on your own?
Well, quick story. Badger Bob thought, and, he was really in the forefront of a lot of things. So he said, we need to get a sports psychologist in. So, back in those days, you mentioned psychologist, anybody in the NHL, whoa, back off, I don't want to be sitting on the couch talking. So they decided they're going to get this guy, Hap Davis in Calgary, a sports psychologist, great guy, but he comes in and he puts up a sign-up sheet. So, day one, I'm looking, I go, well, nobody's on there, so I go, I'll put a name on. Day two, I look again, no name on, and, put another name on, same name I put on, and then day three I put another name on, and it's the same guy. And so day four, this Hap Davis comes in, and we're getting changed, and he goes over to Steve Bozak, and Steve's a great guy, a player on our team, a great player, and he goes, Steve, is there an issue? And he goes, no, what's wrong? He goes, well, you've signed up for 3 days in a row and you haven't showed up. And so Bosie goes, that frickin' Paterson, I know it's him. It was me.
You put a name up.
Yeah, I put a name. It was his name. But so anyways, sure enough, I'm the first guy who has to go in and see Hap. And, it was actually really beneficial for me because he, puts you in the right frame of mind, visualization, going to, if you have a bad shift or a good shift, how do you react? How do you respond? How do you prepare for a game? This is before you got all your videos on, Instagram and whatever else they do now. So he said, let's put a video montage of you together of things you do well.
It was a short one.
It was a very short film, but but the dump-ins were great. Dump-ins, forechecking, back there. There was no pay-checking.
It was flawless.
It was flawless, yeah. But it was good. It set you in the right frame of mind.
Of course.
And it was on VHS, so it was all cut up. But and you put a favorite song together, and you're thinking of your happy place.
You better find that.
I got to find my happy place.
No. The tape.
Oh, the tape. You know what? That might be long gone. Might have gone in the Purging 101. Yeah.
I really enjoyed this. Can we do it again soon?
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. Colin Paterson, Stanley Cup champion with the Flames. We're going to Nashville next. The Predators' Kate Pedersen joins us ahead of Preds and Stars. We're live on Game Plus Television, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
The RP show continues from the beautiful foothills of the Rocky Mountains, Grey Eagle Resort and Casinos, where we're at, talking sports today. Man, I enjoyed that chat with Colin Paterson, and he has vowed to come back before we're done here in May at Grey Eagle. But we're switching gears now. It's just a 3-game slate in the NHL tonight. The Nashville Predators are at the Dallas Stars. Kate Pedersen is the host of Nashville Predators broadcasts with the President. She joins us. It's been far too long. CFL Kate, how are you, my dear?
Way too long. I'm fantastic. Yeah.
You always are. I've been seeing all your stuff. Listen, tell me how I'm going to jump right to it, Kate. How are these Predators even still in the race? How are they doing it? They shouldn't be.
I know, and we're living in it down here. It's remarkable. It is absolutely unbelievable. And when you break it down in terms of the numbers, whether that's, the money, the salaries missing, never mind the trade deadline. Sure, we were sellers, shipped everyone away, some major pieces and high-priced pieces. But the injuries throughout the lineup, when you think about the sheer money that's missing in terms of the contracts for the guys that are injured right now, and then the number of games played, career games played, in the lineup is just absolutely absurd. And it's been incredibly fun because it's kind of, in a sense, it's comical. Everyone kind of threw in the towel and all of a sudden they started winning and it's like, oh my gosh, they might actually pull this off. And it's fun. There's a life to the room, and a lot of the players are younger guys, but without, there are certainly other guys in the room that have played a lot of games, but it's like this young, fun energy, and it's so cool.
Well, I can feel it. I can sense it. And I'm kind of sitting here going, would you just go away? As the guy sitting here in Calgary, you guys have no business being in a playoff race right now. I don't think I could name 5 Predators. I'm not joking. But you know what, Kate? Hey.
No, it's true.
People want to talk about you. As I wanted to get more of an update from you. And I'll get to the viewer comments. Like Gil Scott loves you.
Gil.
The Big Fresh. And he said to me recently, he's like, well, you know how he talks. He's like, what's Kate doing down there? What's Kate doing down there in Nashville? I said, you know what, Gil? I'll bring her on and ask. So why don't you just give us an update of the last couple of years, Kate?
Big Fresh, what's up? Miss ya. Last couple of years, well, COVID. That's the big one. And it hit very differently. I make a bad joke that it didn't hit Florida or Tennessee. And it, when I think about it big picture, all the decisions I make, I don't have dependents. I didn't have anyone to worry about. I was just worried about my career and obviously my health and the health of everyone around me and everyone in the world through a very scary time. But I went to Edmonton in hopes of staying there. And 5 months later, the world shut down. Who could have predicted it? And you and I spoke, actually. I know I was on the show, from the living room at the farm while we were still navigating. And I was, I'd fled Edmonton back to my family stuff in Toronto. And I just didn't see the world returning in terms of, me ending up back on air, back doing something I loved. And I stayed afloat because of Instagram. I was able to create content and I produce videos behind the scenes and things like that. So I was able to stay afloat. But I really thought, Canada's a year or probably 2 behind the United States in opening back up. So I went through, I always say I get a little triggered. We signed a Canadian kid the other day, and we said, well, when do you think you'll be, actually able to play with the team? And he said, well, I'm Canadian, so we're dealing with the immigration. And I'm like, oh, no, triggered. But I was able to get a visa. And then this job came about with the Preds. We actually spoke for about 11 months. So it was a bit of a grind. But I was able to do some work for Vanderbilt. In the meantime, I did baseball and basketball for them and just kind of, kept the faith. I wrote little notes on my fridge, you will be the Predators reporter. And just worked really hard, took all the meetings and stayed persistent. And it was really, really challenging because I don't want to be patient. I'm the kind of person that just wants to jump in and let's go. And so I just stayed patient, and this job continues to evolve day in and day out. We weren't in it. I was kind of bummed my first season here, and all of a sudden we've got some legs, some young legs, fresh legs. And here we are. I've never watched the out of town scoreboard more.
Oh, trust me, I get it. Same thing's going on here. From the viewers, from Craig Smith, our director of scouting, Smitty, he said, Kate is such a lovely lady and so good at what she does. Lancaster introduced me to her and her dad, Leaf, in the Hamilton press box. We had a great chat. Colin in Ottawa says, can you ask Kate what she misses the most about not living in Canada?
I think anyone who follows me on Instagram knows that answer. Tim Hortons. But
is there one in Nashville?
I import pods. No, the nearest one. So I have a cousin who married a girl from Nashville. So my cousin lives here with their kids, which is great for me. The nearest one is 6 hours. It's in southern Ohio. And we talked about jokingly driving there one day just to do it. But I drive home to Toronto enough that I don't need to do a jokes drive to Ohio just to get my Tims. But I do bring the Keurig. I am a loyal Tim Hortons Keurig pod subscriber. I have hundreds every time I drive back, and that keeps me afloat. But, I think the biggest similarity between Canada and the South, we're made fun of up north for being so nice. But it really, and to be honest, I've been lucky having moved quite a bit for my career, going to Regina, going to Edmonton, the one thing that's consistent in both of those places and Toronto as well is the people are so kind. I was welcomed with open arms by both of those communities. And I feel the same way about Nashville, whether it's, season ticket holders that I meet at an event for Vanderbilt, for the Predators, or my neighbors, everyone is just so kind. And I think, when I miss things about home, of course, I miss my family and my friends, and I miss, things about each city I lived in. And certainly the hockey fan base in Edmonton, that was a cool thing to be a part of and to witness, Connor and Leon playing every day. I for sure miss some of that. But the people here are so genuinely nice that it does make me feel like I'm at home a lot of the time.
Hey, trust me, I get it. But I'm a Duncan guy, and I'm in Canada enough that I get my Tims. So that's my thing. Stephen in North Dakota says there's a blizzard warning issued now for the prairies. It's time to barbecue, but there's no mosquitoes. It's funny you say. I'll tell you a little Nashville thing, Kate. CFL Kate, as you'll always be to me. When I was looking for somewhere to land, I went to Nashville in December. It was like +2 Celsius. I'm like, nope. Need somewhere warmer than this in December. You guys do get, like in a minute or less, it gets cold there in the winter-ish, correct?
It does. I would say, so I've been training to be an American in terms of like understanding miles, understanding Fahrenheit. So I'm kind of losing my ability to compare in Celsius, but it does. So it snowed. I remember this vividly because a lot of people from California fled to Nashville during COVID. So I had a neighbor who was 50-something years old, and she'd born and raised California and had never seen snow. And we got 3 inches. This was 2 winters ago, my first winter here. We got 3 inches, and I laughed with a grain of salt because I get it. They do not have the resources to handle it. But Starbucks shut down, and it was 2 or 3 inches of snow. McDonald's shut down. People were calling in sick or calling in unsafe to get to work. Anyway, this neighbor, I taught her how to make a snow angel. She'd never made a snow angel. She didn't know what that was. It was hilarious.
How would you know? How would you know?
You know, if you haven't seen snow, it was, I think about like puppies, the videos online when they see it and they're running through the snow and it's really cute. But anyway, yeah. So when I say snow, it's like 1 or 2 days. That is it.
Yeah, well, I got some great friends there in Nashville. If you haven't met everybody yet, I'll send you their numbers, but I get the sense you're doing just fine. Kate, next time we'll talk a little more actual hockey, but I think we all wanted just a life update. It's awesome to see that it's going great. And enjoy the rest of the run here. Let's do it again soon.
Thank you. Thank you. We got to string together some wins, and we got to watch the Jets and the Flames lose, you know?
Well, I'll say good luck with that. The great Kate Pedersen of the Nashville Predators joining us from Music City. We'll be right back with Overtime. If you have any questions or comments, get them out now. The final segment's coming up next, 902-518-3033. We're live on Game Plus Television, YouTube, Apple and Spotify, and wherever you enjoy your podcasts. And your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, The Key.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Peterson. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat. Lot of sun, smoky in the air. That's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
All right, everybody, this is it. This is it. Overtime for the Four Seasons Sports Palace, your home for the UFC and the National Hockey League. And when I say this is it, what I mean is, if you've been wanting to talk to me one-on-one, now is the time. I know, I feel like we should market it as such. The last segment of Hour 1, the last segment of Hour 2, because everybody wants my thoughts on the Dub playoffs. And yeah, 20 seasons Regina Pats, 15 radio, 5 on television. Yeah, that's my team. I got all kinds of time for the debate on that, but I just want to caution the Pats fans, the series isn't over. People are talking like it's over, and they're trash talking the Blades, and I'm like, come on, have we not been around the mulberry bush enough to know until you get the fourth win, it ain't over? But we're all following it very closely. But it's not the only series either, by the way, for our friends in Winnipeg. The Ice are up 2-0 on the Medicine Hat Tigers. They beat them 5-2 in Game 2 on Saturday night. I'm jumping all over the place with these series between West and East because that's what the wire service has done. Portland is up 2-0 on Everett, which we called. We predicted all of these. Moose Jaw's up 2-0 on Lethbridge in that series. Seattle leading Kelowna 2-0. They beat them 4-1 on Saturday. We predicted a sweep there. In a series we predicted would go 7, Prince George and Tri-City are tied up 1-1. It was a bit of a shocker. David Adazinski scoring in overtime for the Calgary Hitmen Saturday night in Red Deer. That series is 1-1. And Kamloops leads the Vancouver Giants 2-0. So all I'm saying, for you Pats fans, the series ain't over yet. I'd like to believe that you know that. What else do we have? John Ohm writes in, where did it go? He says, great guests today. Thank you. The RP show never disappoints. Thank you, John Ohm in Winnipeg. Those were really good. Listen, you want the inside? Hollywood stuff. Obviously, Kate and I have been friends for a real long time. But Colin Paterson, I just met last summer for the first time. And you have to understand, child of the 80s here, loved watching Flames, Oilers, Flames, Habs. Watched it all. So I knew of Colin Paterson. Don't take him in a playoff draft. Back then. He came up and introduced himself at a golf tournament last year, the one that we broadcast live from, the Rocky Mountain Rotary Classic. He said, he goes, Rod Pedersen, Colin Paterson, Flames alumni. You're taller than I thought. It's the first thing he said. And we immediately started following each other on Instagram, kept in touch, and now he shows up at the Grey Eagle today, and that was just a lot of fun. Ryan in Toronto, great show today. Thank you, Ryan. And I apologize to the boys flying the Millennium Falcon, Clark, Jordan, whomever's back there, Ryan. Is Rolf there? That we lost the line earlier an hour or two. I don't know what happened. Allie in Texarkana says, another great show, Rod Squad. Hope my Stars clinch tonight. Who can clinch? Vegas is at Minnesota. The Wild can clinch with a win, and Dallas can clinch with a home win over Nashville. From Ryan O'Radio, another great show from WQEE. This is Atlanta's NHL show, the RP show. Hey, Ryan, clearly you're paying attention. Answer me this. From viewer Kirk. And Kirk, we should have got a photo last night at the Saddle Dome together. Can we do that next time when you come? Kirk in Calgary says, hot take. McAfee. Not Pat McAfee. McCafe, McDonald's coffee, or Tim's. They use the same coffee beans that Tim's used to use. 7-Eleven also is decent.
Hot take.
Nelson Hakowich, our VP of Sim Events, says Duncan beats Tim's.
Hot take.
I don't want to go there. Not today. Starbucks trumps all.
Hot take.
That's begin and end there. Yes. And then in Canada, when I want to change up from Starbucks, I go to Tim's. And in America, when I want to change up from Starbucks, I go to Dunkin'. I'll be a little bit for everybody. There's a very DuPont-like answer right there. Sports update. The Toronto Blue Jays open their second last minute of play in the RP show. The Blue Jays open their second series of the season in Kansas City tonight as starter Jose Barrios takes the mound. UConn and San Diego State tip-off tonight with the March Madness Men's Basketball National Championship on the line. And the WWE and the company that runs UFC will combine to create a $21.4 billion sports entertainment company. Endeavor Group Holdings takes a 51% controlling interest in the new company, while existing WWE shareholders will hold a 49% stake. You're right, Kevin the Medium. That is confusing. Sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. Enter to win a movie night out at Landmark Cinemas for movie lovers. All you have to do is text MOVIES to 902-518-3033 to be entered. Winners will be picked every Friday to enjoy a movie night out this weekend. Tomorrow, Kevin Smith, Rich Sutter. It's going to be great. See you then.
Who has more fun than us?